bit. So on this webinar series, we will today talk about quick BIM modeling from conceptual design. Next week, we'll have quick mass modeling with Archicad for preliminary and conceptual design. Zeit will be hosting this session. The previous session is available on YouTube, so we'll show you where you can see that. So today I will have a live demo with a quick BIM modeling and getting the information from the model, so how we can retrieve that. And we'll have the Q&A session after this. So in case you have any questions, just write on the chat of this webinar. So normally, how can you do the quick BIM modeling? Either you use the tools like wall, column, beam, slab, roof, or shell, or we use some of the dedicated tools like zones that will retrieve us the area and even name the spaces. Mesh and Morph are also more mass modeling tools oriented to this kind of situations. And the curtain wall allows us to show, a certain pattern on the facade of the building. So it's also very useful because we can have a more schematic representation of a curtain wall, even for an earlier stage. Okay, so I have here as a reference this article that is on Enzyme's blog. So either you scan this QR code or you go to weareenzyme.com. And one of the articles that they have is about design strategies massing with Morph. So you can see here that with these 4 design options, you can actually retrieve immediately what is the areas that you can get for each one of these floors and have a more informed decision on what is the outcome for this for these different design options. Okay. So another thing is we have done before also a session for Malaysia customers that it was focusing on concept design with Archicad. But in this case, we were using Rhino Grasshopper connection to show you how we can extrude the building and generate the whole design, focusing on the on this Rhino Grasshopper connection. So all this building you see here is generated live from the script. So if you all are interested in seeing how I've done this, you can just go through this session. It's quite long, almost 2 hours, 1 hour 45 minutes, and but it still has, so I would say probably live is about an hour. Okay, so now let's jump into the live session. I have here Archicad open, and pretty much what I have is I went to like Google Maps, and I just grabbed with a screenshot certain location of a site. Then I just traced over and model with the heights of each building. And then we can see, okay, let's say that our site is exactly this one here. So as you can see here, I've done the whole site just using these are just simple slab tools that I model each one of them with the height of each building. So you can see here, we just have, by using push and pull in 3D, I can just say, if for some reason I know that this building has like 1 or 2 more floors than the one next to it, I can just push here and I can just extend to the exact height that I want. So
yeah, I think we got this from a DWG, didn't we, Marcelo?
Yeah.
We just use the magic wand and.
Yeah, so it can be done both ways. So we had a question, is it?
No. Just making a comment.
Yeah, thank you. So basically, yeah, with this we can very quickly come out with the surroundings, and then we edit the model based on this. Okay. So now we have the site. I actually ignored or like pretended that this Costco tower is not going to be there anymore. Let's say there will be a redevelopment of this area. So what I've done to prepare my site was this. First of all, in Archicad, I knew that there was a story structure that I want to follow. So I know that I will have 6 stories of podium. Each one of this will be 5 meters tall. And then I want 25 stories of residential with 4 meters floor to floor height. So based on this, anytime I can add a few more stories, so I can insert above, I can rename it. Let's say I want a MEP room or something else. I can just edit here. And then I can also delete stories. Let's say I don't want this one. And based on this, we will have the stories reflected here. This is something that can change halfway on the project or anytime on the project, but it's good to settle it, somehow at any given time, so that it helps you to design your build. So I also set up here a few elevations. I didn't set any section yet. So you can see here, I have the elevations going through my site, where I have these markings showing the stories that I have set up. Okay, so you can see here each one of these elevations, and this is representing the buildings I can see in elevation, right? So now I will just jump straight to my model and decide how I want to design this. So first thing I will do is I'll just use a Morph tool, and I can have few basic morphs set up. So I have here from my favorites just a set for the morph. And let's say I want my building to have some shape like this. Okay, so I'll have this morph generated here. When I go to 3D, I can see that the morph is placed there. And I can choose to extrude it. So I just click on the surface, and with this option to push pull, I can choose to extrude it and choose to which level, podium 5, podium 6, or I go to all the way to the first level of residential. So this is my building mass here. If I want to make it, with a different surface, I can just choose which kind of surface I want to have here. And based on this, I can start editing my design. So let's say I want to have some slanted edge here. For example, I want this corner of my morph to extend and come further out here. And then even, let's say, in terms of design, I want to draw here some line that is connecting this. And then I want to extrude further in all this that will have, some kind of entrance or anything going on here. Or if not here, let's say on this side here next to the road, I can also choose to draw draw here just along one story, and this will go in, let's say, 4,004 meters. Okay, so very easily I can start carving and changing the shape of my building. Let's say here on this end, this is very aggressive here. We want to make this move backwards, this point here. So we can just
You just need to, okay.
Yeah.
Just because you're just pressed in the pet palette, just the pencil with the line through it, because it still wants to draw.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Let me see. Yeah, I had to cancel it. It's always trying to draw. Yeah, you're right. So now let's say I'll bring back this one by 6 meters, so that my building is now having a different shape. Okay. So let's say that we're happy with this. I go to my ground floor. I see how the building is looking like here. I can see that the same representation is going along or going through all the stories. So what I will do is I will go down, I will select the morph and say that I want this to have a representation, not as outlines only, but projected with overhead. So this allows me to have a true representation of this morph in each story. So you see here, with this white contour, is showing what I have on the podium. On the second story, I already have the whole slab. Third story, fourth, fifth, and sixth. So we see that the building is kind of leaning towards the left side. So once I have done this part, I can just look into how am I going to split this building in like story by story. So one thing we can do is I can just draw a slab that is bigger than I'll make it bigger than my actual building. So I make sure that the slab is being designed in a way that overruns the building. And then I want to multiply. So I'll choose to multiply by elevation, set home story by elevation. And I'm just going to spread. I know that this was 5 meters. Okay, so I spread these slabs across the building height. So I'll just take these slabs now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect. Basically, I'll do a solid element operation and say that from these slabs, these will be the target. My morph will be the operator. And what I want to keep is only the intersection of the slabs with the morph. So I execute. And as you can see now, the slabs are only having the contour of the building, right? So if I want to keep them with this shape and having their representation like this, I can also do another thing, which is I'll just convert them into a morph. And now I'll have each one of these slabs part of my building design. So if I now change the morph into a glass facade, so I don't want this anymore, now I can see the slab for each story here. Okay. And again, I go to the podium. I think this one I don't need because I have the ground floor. So I'll have each slab representation being shown here where I can see them. And I can even see the slabs from the stories below. Okay. So let's say that we're happy with this in terms of floor plan representation. Now we're going to check how our areas are coming out. Okay, so how can we do this? We can assign to each slab that we have here a different ID, for example. Let's say commercial. And now I can go here to the area summary. And I say that, let me create a new one. So areas, new scheme. Area commercial. So in this case, I want morphs. And I will just ignore the rest. The only criteria I will look for is I will have the ID to contain commercial. And then what are the parameters that I want to list here? I want to get the area. And I can even have, let's say, the volume or any other thing. And then I want to add also, like, what is the story? Some story name, sorry, I couldn't find it. And then I want the summary. So once I do this, I can see here that okay, let me get this again. Area. Why is it giving me 0? Okay, instead of using that one, I will use the mass. So since I have on the podium this unit here, I'll call it mass. So we can even get it. I was showing you how we can get it from each individual slab. But since we have a story setting that is breaking this mass into story by story, we can see here that is splitting for each podium, giving us the different area and the total area that we have for our commercial. So in case I change something on my design, let's say I go here and this side we move it further out. I go here and now I have 16,000 in my area. So it's really good in an earlier stage that we can very easily add, you know, area or volume to this. Obviously, these elements now I would have to make them adjust to the new geometry. Okay, so we've done this. I will repeat this again for the tower that we'll do on top of this podium. Now the next thing I would like to show you here is we have this podium part done. We're going to jump to the residential part. So we have here the representation of two things. One is the main morph that is giving origin to the whole building, and the other one is the morph that was placed as the slab that in this case is doing the roof of the commercial and the ground floor of the residential. So let's say now I want to repeat this kind of workflow. So with this morph for the apartments, I will just draw some shape. Let's say we have some shape here, and I decide, okay, this will be roughly my tower shape, and I can say that here I'll have another mass 1, because I want to have this mass also being represented. I choose a different color so that we can easily see what is the difference between these the two morphs. So I go to 3D, and again the morph is placed here. So I can just select it, and again, repeating the same process we have done before, I will extrude it all the way to the rooftop. And this time I'll even do some variation on the shape, which is I will make, for example, the tower tapered, so with a smaller size on the top. So I'll just select them, and I will choose to taper the top, let's say by 3 meters. So if I go to an elevation now, I can see that the tower is becoming tapered as it goes up. It's not a very obvious angle, or not a very, but you can see here, if I draw a line vertically, we can see that this is the difference that one is making towards the other. And again, if I go to my schedule now, you can see that for each floor, I have the areas. And if I want to say, I want to go to the scheme settings here, and I want to add as a field, let's say, the ID. And every time the ID changes, let's put the ID, the story, and then the area. So this is showing that we have 6 stories of a podium, and we have 16,000 square meters of commercial, or how you want to call this. Then we have 25,000 square meters of residential. So overall, we have 41,000 square meters. Let's say that we need to be close to 40,000 or 41,000. So we can just go into our design here and just decide, okay, on this end, I will make it, go further in 0.5 meter. So now I will check on my areas, and I am below the 40,000, the 41,000, as I wanted to do that. So very easily, we can just edit our design and go, let's say, I want to have a little bit more area. Would this solve my issue? Yes, it's still under the 41,000. So we can start to optimize our design like this. Okay. So exactly, this is perfect. 40,990. So just 10 square meters below. So again, here we can use the same method as I showed before. We can have even use the magic one to do a slab. Let's say I want to do a slab for this tower. So I just made a slab here. Or I can space out trace. So I'll go to 3D. And I can make this slab here. Sorry. So I can just make this slab here again. I will spread. Now I know that my story height is lesser. And let's say that from this story here, we will have balconies. Below we want. So I want to just spread every time. And even if I want to have, for example, some railings around this, I can just draw here on this floor, you know, some railings that are going around this tower, and again, just spread it all the way up to our building. Okay, so very quickly, we start having the elevations of our tower with the podium level here, and we have the areas. We can have floor plans of this. And now, last thing I want to show is how we can move forward to another level of representation. So I'll just select these two elements, show this selection in 3D. So I only have these two elements in 3D. And now I will cover these surfaces with a curtain wall. So basically, I will have a commercial facade here. And based on this commercial facade, I will have polygonal surface by choosing each edge of my curtain wall. So I placed here just a curtain wall with this shape. Another one here. So, one. Another one here. So I can just go and click on the surface that I want to place, holding space. It will cover that surface with a curtain wall. So you see that even if we have very complex shapes where this whole surface is totally slanted, it's still very manageable to place the curtain walls. So I have this facade elements here, another one here, another one here. And obviously then I could just align them. I think for this purpose, I'll just leave them as you see here. And even though I have, I don't know, 10 or more surfaces, very quickly I managed to place the curtain wall there. Same thing we'll do for the tower. So I have another curtain wall for the tower. Okay. So I'll just cover each facade of it. I know it doesn't work very well to have a slanted curtain wall for the facade, but this is just early design stage. And I wanted to exaggerate a little bit in terms of what the shapes that we're coming out with. This also works if you have, let's say, a curved surface. It's just that the drawings won't be as, or the modeling process will be a little bit more complex. And last one, not last one, I have two more surfaces. So you notice one thing, that the more, once these elements that are heavier are being placed here, Archicad might slow down a little bit because it's placing mullions, transoms, all these elements. And you might even tell me, you know what, this is too much information for this stage. So we would like to keep it more simplified. So how can we do this? So as you can see here, we're having like all the transoms, the mullions, everything being placed here. So that's why our curtain wall is a bit heavy. But if we want to make it simpler, we can just go here to our model view options, and I will create a new one that we call it 05 simple model. And I can go to the level of detail of the curtain wall, and I will put everything into schematic. So now when I'm using this visualization method, the whole model becomes simplified. It's like a flat surface. So I don't need any more the morphs, so I can hide the morphs for this. So when I go to my elevations, and if I show them with a simple model, this will generate them much faster because we have a simplified model here. Okay, it seems like my slabs were off. Seems like my slabs are a bit off, so I would need to correct these. Well, I'll just take it here. That's the beauty of being working in BIM. I can just take this and bring it down to the level that I want. So now I adjusted all the slabs here. So you see very quickly we can have floor plans, sections, elevations, and even our area schedule will represent all this. So we have our total areas. And if I want to go to my layouts and have prepare the presentation for my customers, I just add here few perspectives. And as you can see, like I had a mass model before, I can quickly jump into a more detailed part of my building with different perspectives. And even if I want to get my areas placed here, so I can just get my schedule, drag and drop it here, and I can show to my clients, okay, this option will have this much area. So in case we want to explore other design options using layers or other methods, we can clearly show that, you know, a few different design options will have the area that they're looking at, but it will show a totally different representation. And then we can have Also our floors, let's say the ground floor here, we can have the podium. So then we can start designing a little bit more stuff. But clearly, just quickly out of the mass model, you don't have only the mass, but you have also the representation of the whole model that was generated. Any questions about this? I think everyone has been quite quiet.
Yeah, there's no questions in the chat. So I think people need to put on their mic if they, yeah, maybe.
Okay. Okay, so you see even the sections, elevations that are being generated, I think that they come out quite good for the speed that we had or the time that we had to generate this. So very easily then we can start going inside the model and edit it, whatever we're coming out with this here. So if I want to align the textures or the curtain walls, or if I want to add more, further detail to this, this can easily be done. And obviously I chose here something that, you know, it's not a conventional shape to show you that, you know, mass modeling doesn't need to be, you know, only blocks that are very straightforward. We can actually have it, you know, in a tapered shape and so on. So for me, I really like to use this kind of workflow because from very early stage, you have the control of your design and you have access to the data that is being generated from here. Okay, so I think I'll go back to the PowerPoint and we can start the Q&A session. Any questions on this?
So nothing in the chat, but yeah, if anybody wants to talk, feel free to open up your mic.
Yeah, even if you want to see something else, I'm happy to do it. Has anyone here ever tried something similar to this? Afrin, in your firm, do you normally use this kind of workflow, or you jump straight into, you know, slabs, walls, beams, columns, and so on? Okay. No. Okay.
Yeah, when I was an urban designer before I joined Graphisoft, this was actually before the Morph Tool, so I tended to only use slabs for massing. Even the kind of platforms and like the terrain, I would also kind of do that as terraced kind of slabs to get a more conceptual kind of look.
Yeah. Well, I didn't show that we can use the zone to get the areas because at this stage, I don't think that we need to split into zone because we just want a gross area of each floor. But obviously, if we use the zone tool, we can actually place, let's say, I want to have here not an apartment, but let's say the lift lobby. Okay, so I can just design and say, I know my lift lobby will be 8 meters by 8 meters, and I have it here. So I can have this always placed on every floor, and I can use it also to represent my project. But I think that at this stage, with just the Morph tool and some curtain wall, we can really achieve some level of detail.
Yeah, and you can color these Morph, so they could be color coded as per the land use. Yeah. You could use graphic overrides to put them all to just kind of one color.
Yeah, or even something like this. Colors. You have another one, so just bring it here. So if you want to have different, let's say 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom. So Afrin has said it recently, I think Ning is one of the colleagues, has started something interesting. Perhaps you can share how you do the design. Would you use Morph to do the same job? Ning, if you're here and you want to share.
Hello.
Hello.
Not sure which one he's talking about, but we played around with some mesh,
Uh-huh.
because those we find are really good for organic shapes.
Yes, it's true. Have you heard of the mesh to roof tool, or have you ever done it?
Yeah.
Okay,
We've used that one so far.
yeah, because the mesh allows you to have very organic top, right, or a top surface. So if you use the mesh to roof, then you can have like a roof being generated from the upper surface. I think that's also quite nice.
That's what we've done so far. It's still like it's been quite well received by clients lah.
Good. So this kind of workflow, let's say doing the podium and tower, I know that this is a very typical building shape here in Asia, or on the more dense areas. Would you see yourself using this kind of workflow, or you would jump right
Yep,
away?
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems really good in terms of application for as the title says, conceptual design for this type of buildings.
Yeah, I don't want to say the name of the other mass modeling software, but it seems like everyone can only think about, mass shapes by using, a dedicated mass modeling tool. And I think you lose out a lot because you're not getting from the model the areas, the elevations, the drawings right away. So even if you feel more comfortable there to get the mass of each of the building, then you still have to go to another tool and represent everything. So I see that Archicad is very, very powerful in this sense.
Yeah, I
But
have
thanks
to
for you.
admit that now.
Yes, because from the mesh, from the mesh design, you can just put in curtain wall just like that, and just like that.
Yeah. So I think Afrin is asking, can you introduce a donut in the middle of the elevation of your building model? So I think that is asking something like this. Let me see here. I go to the 3D. I don't know if exactly a donut, but let's see here. Let's say I have this elevation here. And if you're talking about something like I take a surface and I draw something here and I puncture a hole. I hate that this comes out. And I puncture a hole here. We can do a pure hole on the building. So.
Yeah, I think the two faces are not parallel. So
Yeah, that's why it's a bit weird. Yeah, but it's something like this that you were looking at, generating like some hole on it. It can be done also.
yeah, I don't know if you can do a donut with a piece that's just floating inside that.
Well, one thing I can do is let me try to do with a brand new one. Okay, let's model a donut. Or let's say a plan in shape of a donut. So let's say I have something like this. I can even make it curve. Let's say sort of curve. Okay. And now if I want to say I even have a circle here. I can actually take this circle and And I think I can choose to, yeah, so in this case, I am making a hole on it. And even if I want to totally delete the bottom, I can do that. And we can also select the edges and make the edges smoother, right? How do I do it? Yeah, it's here. So I can say, okay, I want a resolution of, let's say, 2 meters, apply to all edges. And I've done a donut here. So I just applied, a smoothing to this. So that's what I'm saying. Even if I want to make more curved shapes, it's also possible. Obviously, now to place here a curtain wall and all that, this would be a challenge, even constructive wise. So it's a different championship. So yeah, oh, excellent. Thank you, Mr. Afrin. So basically here, I think we can wrap up. So thanks for the questions. Yeah. Basically, I'd like to highlight to you that being our customers and being on SSA, you can take advantage of our training courses for basic and advanced training. So we have Archicad basic training, is 2 full days or 4 half days. Advanced modeling, we learn some of these things from the mass modeling tool on this training session. And then we have another one for documentation. For more information, go to graphisoft.com/sg/courses. Sorry, we don't have like a Malaysia dedicated website, but it's the same. We are handling both. And then you can also go to Graphisoft Learn. This is the trainings I shared with you before are locally handled by us and our team. The sessions that you see here on Graphisoft Learn are global sessions that you can join, and they are actually recognized worldwide. So it's another level in case you want to have a look at it. You can also follow us on social media. So we have our YouTube channel, Facebook and LinkedIn channel. So if you scan the QR code, I think now everyone is very experienced with it, with all this registering where we're going. This will bring you to our pages. Another thing is next week, not next week, actually this week, this Friday, we'll have, for those who want to know more about computational BIM, so using the Rhino, Grasshopper, Archicad, and even other tools, we'll see how we can comply with the integrated digital delivery, which is the new buzzword for like BIM or VDC, virtual design and construction. So how we design virtually using the tools, and in this case, is connecting your BIM, your design done in BIM with manufacturing tools. So it's very interesting. So if you scan the QR code here, James also put on the chat the links for this. You can register. It's a free webinar, so you can register and have a look at it. This is already the second one. The first one is also available online, so you can have a look at it. And one more thing, I think most of you already know Noria. So in case you want to contact us, you can reach out to me, Zaid, Asraf, and also Noria is our master resellers from Chrysalis Networks in Malaysia. So you have here her contact details. And meanwhile, we look forward to see you on the next session. So Zaid will continue and close this webinar series next week. And we would like to thank you all for joining today, and looking forward to catch up next week or even this Friday if you're able to join. Okay, thank you guys.
Thanks, Marcelo.
Thanks
Everyone.
Yeah, thanks all.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.